Hey guys, I have been craving chocolate chip cookies for about 2 weeks now, and I've been trying to avoid making them because, truth be told, I'd probably eat them all. But I decided today was a good day to go ahead and make them, and I decided why not? You guys can help me. I'll freeze the ones that we don't eat, and we'll just have some fun. I noticed something though when I was looking at my recipe. So take a look at the recipe for just a minute. Do you notice all of the things that I noticed? I noticed it has cups, half a cup, 2 eggs. Oh, I gotta grab my eggs. 1 teaspoon of vanilla, 1.5 cups of cake flour, 1.5 cups of flour, 3/4 a teaspoon of baking soda, 3/4 a teaspoon of salt, 2 cups of chocolate chips, 2 cups of walnuts. Says that one's optional. I might choose to leave those out. They're not my favorite. But there are a lot of fractions in this recipe. And I don't know that all of my cups and my half cups, I don't know that all of them are clean. So we gotta figure something out. Let's take a minute and look together. Let me grab my utensils. So if you are a baker and you like to bake with mom and dad or grandma or sister or brother or somebody, you notice that a lot of times when you pull out your measuring cups, there are a ton of different sizes of measuring cups. So right here I have a whole cup. So we're gonna call that our whole. And then I have, this one says 1/2 cup, and you can see my white writing is almost gone, so I have to get very close to look at it. But it's a 1/2 cup measure. This one is a 1/3 cup measure. Doesn't look like I use this one as often. Then I have a 1/4 cup measure, and then I have these other ones just in case that I need other measurement tools and I don't want to mix, my flour with my sugar. So this one is a 1 cup measure again. And then this one right here is a 1/2 cup measure. That's a lot of measuring. But I want to show you something really cool, something that I noticed. I noticed that this one looks like it fits inside this one, it fits inside this one, it fits inside this one. So I wonder if we took this 1/4 measurement and added it, if we could equal some of these others and create some equivalent fractions or add some fractions together. So there's a thing when we are baking and measuring and adding and subtracting fractions that is called decomposing fractions. And so it's a big word, decompose. If you have ever been out in a garden, you know that you might have compost. And I think we've actually talked about compost in science. And compost is just materials that are broken down to create a soil that helps fertilize your plants. And so if we look at compose, that means made up of, and D means to break down, right? You didn't know you were getting an English lesson in the middle of cooking. This prefix right here, D, means off. I also like to say break down. And so I know that I can take a fraction and break it apart into smaller fractions that will equal it. So let's say I had 1 whole, okay? And I'm gonna equal it out. Did you know that you can add 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4? So when you are adding fractions, you actually do not need to change the denominator. This denominator stays the same the whole time. So I just put a 4 over there, and then all I have to do is add my numerators. 1, 2, 3, 4. that the same thing as one whole? Remember when we have a numerator and a denominator that are equal to each other, that it means that I have one whole? So that means that if I took 4 of these, it's going to give me one whole of these. So if I'm ever missing this measuring cup, I just have to count this 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. Good to know. This is what we call decomposing a fraction. It's when we take it apart and we put it in pieces that equal the whole. It's breaking down of the fraction. The same thing could happen if I wanted to use this third cup. I could totally do it this way too. So I wonder how many third cups equal 1 cup. Well, I know 1 whole equals, so I would say 1/3 plus 1/3, 1, 2. So that's 2 parts of my whole, but I have to have 3 parts of my whole. So that equals 1, 2, 3. And then my denominator never changes, so 3/3. Each one of these is 1 piece. Remember, we called these unit fractions. Ooh, do you remember that? Because a unit is 1 piece of something, 1. Well, okay. So I wonder if I took my half cup measure, if I could do the same thing. I bet we can. 1 equals 1/2. I'm starting to see a trend here. So half plus half. I know when I have 2 halves, it equals a whole. So 2 halves. So I've got my unit fractions. I've decomposed this fraction. I've broken it apart. Equals my whole. So I know that I can come back and look at these if I need them. If I don't have, let's say my cup measurement is dirty, I can just go look at these and see what I need. All right, so let's take another minute and let's look at the recipe again. Can you read along with me? So it says we need to preheat the oven to 410 degrees. In a large mixing bowl, cream together cold cubed butter, brown sugar, and for 4 minutes until creamy. Add eggs 1 at a time, mixing well after each one. Stir in flour, baking soda, and salt. Mix until just combined to avoid overmixing. Stir in chocolate chips and walnuts. Remember, I'm gonna omit those, meaning I'm gonna leave them out. Separate dough into large balls. Place a lightly colored cookie sheet. I have my favorite cookie baking sheet over here. And then bake for 9 to 12 minutes until golden brown on the top. Let them rest for at least 10 minutes to set. That means I can't eat them the moment they come out of the oven. That's okay. All right, let's preheat our oven. So you want to go ahead and preheat your oven before you start baking. And a good idea is also to make sure that you go through and you read your whole recipe. That was the first thing my mom taught me when I started baking. Read the whole recipe. You want to make sure that you have everything that you need and you know exactly what it is that you need to have out, and the measuring cups and all the tools, so you're not running around the kitchen wild. But believe me, I've done that too. All right, so let's get baking. Uh-oh, I've come to my first problem and I need your help. So it says in a large mixing bowl, cream together cold cubed butter, brown sugar, and sugar for 4 minutes until creamy. Well, looking back up in my ingredients, I'm supposed to have a cup of cold butter cut into small pieces or cubes. I just opened my butter and it came in pieces like this. And it says, if you look at it, and I'll get it closer, it says this whole stick right here is 1/4 of a cup. How many of these do you think I'm going to need? You are right. Oh, you are right. Look at this. A fourth of a cup plus a fourth of a cup plus a fourth of a cup plus a fourth of a cup equals 4/4, which equals 1. So I'm going to need all 4 of these. You need to help get mom and dad to help you with this next step. We have to cut the pieces up into smaller pieces. Whew. Okay, I'm back. It took me a minute to cube up my butter, and then I had to go wash my hands because they were all sticky and greasy. Okay, so it says, in a large mixing bowl, cream together cold cubed butter, which is funny. Usually I put in room temperature butter. I've not made this recipe before. Cold cubed butter, brown sugar, and sugar. So, all right, in goes my cold cubed butter. Remember to get mom and dad's help to cut that one up. Oh, my oven is ready. Okay. And then it says 1 cup of brown sugar and ½ cup of sugar. Well, let's be fun. Let's do 2 halves because they equal a whole, because that's easier to get into my bag. So let's go ahead. Pack it in good. 1, I need 2 of them, right? 1. All right, and then here is my second one. It's okay if you get a little messy. All right, and then it says we need ½ of a cup of regular sugar. It just says sugar, so it means regular sugar. So did you know that 2 halves is also the same, 1/2, sorry, is also the same as 2/4. So I could do 2 of these to equal this, or I could just stick this in one time. I'll just use the same measuring tool. All right. And then we're gonna go ahead and stir it up. So you're gonna have to wait a second. I'll be back in a minute. It looks like it just came together. Hold on, I got a mess over here. Our next step is we're gonna add our eggs one at a time, and it said that we needed 2 eggs. Oh, and I added in a teaspoon of vanilla, and it does not tell us in the recipe where to put it. So we're just gonna go ahead and put it in with our wet ingredients. So let's add our eggs. Remember to wash your hands when you are done adding eggs. And we're gonna mix it. And then we're gonna add our other egg. Ooh, almost lost that one. Okay, good, no shells got in. I'm gonna mix it, I'm gonna go wash my hands. You do the same. So it says 1 teaspoon of vanilla. Do you have measuring spoons? They're cool too, because if you can see, it's got 1/4. I mean, they're the same. They're the fractions, 1/2, and 1 teaspoon is kind of my bigger one. So I'm gonna use that one. Add in some vanilla. Vanilla, oops, it's not open. Vanilla makes everything taste so good. So I'm gonna put that in. Okay, I'll mix that real quick. Scrape the sides of your bowl. Let's do that. Scrape everything down because it's kind of stuck to the sides of my bowl. There we go. Oh, everything's looking nice and creamy. All right, the next instructions say, in a large, stir in flour, baking soda, and salt. Mix until just combined. I'll be honest, the instructions say that I need 1½ cups of cake flour and 1½ cups of just like all-purpose flour. I'm fresh out. I don't have any cake flour. So you can actually use regular flour as a substitute for cake flour. Just may not be quite as light and fluffy, but we're gonna try. So it says 1/2, 1.5 plus 1.5. I need a little help here because it's two different kinds of flour. So 1 1/2 plus 1 1/2. When you're adding mixed numbers like this, it's usually good to separate out and add first your whole numbers. So 1 plus 1 is 2. And then I'm going to take my fractions. And remember, when we're adding fractions, we only add the only add the numerators. You don't add the denominators. So 2 and 2/2, but that doesn't look right to me. 2/2 is an improper fraction. It's a whole number. So I have to take this and put that, and that turns into a 1, and I'm going to add it to my whole number. So I need 3 cups of flour. All right, my friends, help me out. We said I need 3 cups of flour. Here is my cup measurement. I haven't used this one today. We've been decomposing and using the others. So count with me. 1, 2. I like to count my flour and stuff out in another mixing bowl. 3. All right. So there's my 3 cups of flour, and I'm going to put it back over here. Okay, baking soda and salt. So I need 3/4 of a teaspoon of baking soda and 3/4 of a my teaspoon is dirty. It's still got some vanilla in it. And then I only have 1/4 of a teaspoon and 1/2 of a teaspoon, and it says I need 3/4 of a teaspoon. Take a minute. What are some ways that I can make this work? You're right. 1/2, we said earlier that 1/2 equals 1/4 plus 1/4, because that equals 2/4, which is 1/2. So I could do a 1/2 and a 1/4. I could do 3. I could do, if I'm going to go simple, I could just do 3 1/4 measurements. 1, 2, 3. There's my salt. And then it said baking soda, and I think my baking soda is up here. I'm going to be daring because 2 of these equals 1 of these, and I need 3 of these. So couldn't I do 2 1/2 and 1/4? Yes, I can. And this says baking soda. This is what makes your cookies fluffy. It makes them super, super chewy and fluffy. And then 1/4. Okay. And then it says to combine it in. So I'm going to turn it on and kind of combine it. Mix it up a little bit. It's not my best mixing tool, but all right. And then I'm going to slowly start to combine. But you don't want to over mix it. And I usually make a mess during this part. You want to mix it just, and you can see everything's flying everywhere, just until everything is combined. You know, just to the point where it's all wet. Yep, we're almost there. And there's nothing on the bottom of the, oh, it's looking so good. So it kind of looks like when you take it out, you can do this with it. Kind of like Play-Doh, almost. All right. So then the last thing that I'm going to add is chocolate chips because remember, Miss Weaver does not want walnuts. I'm not really a walnut fan. You can use any kind of chocolate chips you want. You could use mini chocolate chips. I bet white chocolate chips would be good. You could use peanut butter chips. Whatever you have at home would work. So we're gonna pour this in. So let's do 2 halves, just for fun. And I think 2 cups is actually the whole bag. Yep. So we could just do the rest of the bag. 2. And then we're gonna combine it. It's gonna sound wonky for a minute, but just bear with me. It's looking really good in here. And I don't want to mix it much because I don't want my chocolate chips to break up. Now, my hands are clean. I'm going to take all of this off. Okay. So my dough, you can see it. I've got a couple of flour spots, but that should be okay. My dough looks very good. Good enough to eat, but it's got raw eggs in it. So I'm not going to eat it. Now this recipe is supposed to make giant cookies. So I'm getting out my biggest cookie scoop that I have. It's actually an ice cream scoop. And I'm just going to I'm gonna put it there and then I'm gonna take it apart. And you want it to stay like big and fluffy like that. And then we're just gonna put them on the cookie sheet. So it won't take us very long. I'm just gonna cook about maybe 6 or 8 right now. And then I might save the rest of the dough. You can put it in the refrigerator, or I might save it. Well, I'm just gonna cook 6, bake 6. I'm gonna save the rest of the dough. Did you know you can actually go ahead and form the balls and put them in the freezer and save them for later and pop them out? That's what we like to do so that we have them and we don't bake too many at once. All right. But the biggest thing is that you want all of, oops, that one didn't look right. You want all of your cookies to be the same size. So if you don't have like a ice cream scoop or a cookie scoop, it's totally fine. You could use a 4th cup measuring cup. I mean, they're supposed to be big cookies. So this is what they look like when they're done. I've got them evenly spaced out. And the last thing that we have to do is we have to bake them for 9 to 12 minutes. So you know the drill. Alexa, set timer for 9 minutes.
9 minutes, starting now.
They're done. Just like that. Look at these things. They look fantastic. I cannot wait to eat one. I am going to wait until after dinner tonight, but they look good. And so what I did with the rest of them, just an idea, is I put them in the freezer on a baking tray. And then all I'm going to do is take them and stick them in a bag. And you can put this bag right in your freezer. Save it for another day. Something super totally fun. But let me show you. So let's cut one of these open and I'm going to show you the inside. Super gooey, yummy. Okay, I'll take a bite. They're really good, friends. I will suggest I did end up having to bake them for about 12 minutes. Enjoy. Thanks for doing fractions with me today.